Hello and welcome to another episode of the Country God's Perspective podcast. My name is Nathaniel and I'm joined once again by my good friend Matt. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very good, mate. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. How about you? You all good?
Yeah, good. Nailed that intro this time, love it. Um,
Always good when you
um,
get it done first time.
First time's the charm, nice and smooth. I'm even looking to the camera now, Matt, when I do it. How about that? Um, Turning into proper professionals at this now. Um, but yeah, we're coming to post game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. We're just going to recap these two games. We're going to touch on some news as well before we leave you. So, do you want to hit us off nice and early?
Yeah, I mean, what a start it's been to the Stanley Cup final. I think whilst a lot of people obviously were both surprised, frustrated, annoyed that Vegas had got to the cup final. I think what it did guarantee us with the way that they play, with the way that Carolina play, was that we were going to get a really, really interesting matchup between two teams that play kind of similar styles of hockey. Neither team is like an offensive juggernaut or like just a defensive shutdown. They both do everything quite well, and that's exactly what we've seen. I've been surprised a little bit at the score lines. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a cup final that I was expecting loads of goals in, but here we are, 2 games in, 16 goals across the first 2 games. The Golden Knights taking game 1 on the road against the Carolina Hurricanes in a 5-4 win before the Hurricanes pulled one back 4-3 in overtime. Seth Jarvis with the OT winning goal there to tie the series up at 1. Um, I mean, Nathaniel, this has been absolutely blockbuster hockey. Everything that we could have wanted from a Stanley Cup final so far. Sign me up for another 5 games.
Yeah, they're both just very gritty teams, aren't they? We mentioned it last week how neither of these teams have really blown the doors off any teams this year. They've just been going going about their business. Obviously, Vegas had a slower regular season, but throughout these playoffs, they've been top class, top quality. This is best on best. It's great watches really. You got Brett Howden scoring three goals now in 2 games. Um, it's just great.
Yeah, and Brett Howden for me has been such a standout player in these playoffs so far. I mean, this is a guy who missed portions of the regular season, has been kind of generally like a perennial 30 to 40 point guy. But so far this year in the playoffs, he's got 16 points in 18 games. You know, some of these guys are just built for playoff hockey. And of those 16 points, he's got 13 goals, Nathaniel. You know, like absolutely unbelievable performance from him. And it's there's always that unsung hero on a cup winning team that is the guy who you wouldn't expect to have sort of dragged the team over the line, and here he is. He's been absolutely terrific. But I mean,
Cheap as chips too.
you are sorry.
Cheap as chips too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's on such an affordable contract, and again, it's another kind of part of what you need on these, on these cup contending teams because you've got your star players, you've got your superstar players. You need to have those guys down on the third line, on the fourth line, on those kind of minimum wage deals that can still contribute and provide you with something productive. And that's exactly what they're getting from Brett Howden. Colton Sissons is also like he's played well for Vegas. You look at Nikolai Ehlers on the Hurricanes. This was a guy who the Winnipeg Jets let walk to free agency last year. They maybe thought that he wasn't going to be kind of worth taking him forward. But he again has been absolutely crucial to the Hurricanes in this, not only in this series but across the playoffs as a whole. So he's been a really nice piece there. But yeah, I mean, with the series tied at 1 at the moment, I honestly couldn't call it at the moment.
No. There is a big sort of shift, a big loss, I think, for the Vegas Golden Knights from Game 2. And as Braden McNabb, he left the game fairly early doors after trying to eat a puck, quite literally.
Yeah.
For those that haven't seen it, he's trying to block an attacker or like from when the guy's on the point, and he takes an 87-mile slap shot. It was Ehlers as well, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
87 mile an hour shot from the point. You, the camera angle, you can't even get it any better. You can literally see McNabb in the eyes as he sees the puck come in, and for some reason he doesn't really duck, and it just clips off his visor straight into his face. He
Yeah.
obviously left the game, apparently in flip flops, according to the report. For some reason, why that was included, I don't know.
Cutting edge
He guessed he
journalism
must.
there.
He's hard as fuck. He's leaving in flip flops. Um, but he
Yeah,
went to hospital for checks, I think.
I mean, I don't think that in the cup final, I don't think a puck to the face is going to is going to keep him out. If there is any way that he will be ready for game 3, whether they put him in a bubble helmet or even if they just kind of wire his jaw shut, tell him to rub some dirt on it and carry on. Yeah, I think it would be a massive shame if he was to miss any time. But yeah, I mean, Stones of the Week on is obviously a very popular segment in this in our show on our weekly recaps. But yeah, some real stones displayed by McNabb there.
Stars of the
Let's get rid of that.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it was another absolutely outstanding game. Um, even with how the goals all came about, Vegas take a 2-0 lead, then in the third period, Carolina rally back and score 3 without reply, and then all of a sudden Mark Stone has to tie it with a minute and 20 left in the game. And then Seth Jarvis getting the overtime winning goal there. Yeah, I've loved every minute. 26 shots on goal for each team as well. So, and I think the shot difference in game 1, I think, was only like 3. I think I want to say
Yeah,
that
it was
maybe
in Carolina's
Carolina had.
favour, but yeah,
Yeah. So it's just nice that we're getting. I think it's about as evenly matched as a cup final as you could expect to see. Um, I just. What you don't want is kind of one team that's just under siege for 60 minutes and will they pop one in on the breakaway. I think for the viewer spectacle it's more entertaining when you've got two teams back and forth, both going for it, both evenly matched. But yeah, so now games 3 and 4 we return to Vegas. We return to the, I think, is it the T-Mobile arena that they play at? I can't remember. But June 7th is game 3, and then we've got game 4 on June 10th as well. So I don't know. I honestly, I could see us being 4 games in and us talking about a 2-2 series. I think both teams are both equally capable of winning at home and on the road. So I'm really excited to see how it all unfolds.
yeah. Well, game 2 as well. That was such a pivotal moment. Vegas are 2-0 up in game 2, being played in Carolina. Like they were on the way to a 2-0 series lead,
Yeah,
going back home, and it could go one way or the other. But it wouldn't put it past them. They just swept the Colorado Avalanche. They could have been in a great position to sweep the Carolina Hurricanes as well, and we'll be talking about
I'll
Tortorella
imagine.
potentially being the best head coach of all time. But they've Carolina obviously showed that grit, which is why this series is going to be absolutely special. They came back and actually went 3-2 up, and then unfortunately, Mark Stone. I say unfortunately. I've I made it clear I'm a Carolina fan in this series. Unfortunately, Mark Stone is like they're doing the empty net and they're surrounded in. You're just thinking here like they're gonna score, and they do. When you think right, there's like 3.5 minutes left of the game. What's going to happen? The answer was nothing. But then that overtime was just was great as well. It was end to end, and you could see it in the Carolina bench when Seth Jarvis got the puck. It was from Gostisbehere,
Mm,
one timer straight in. The whole bench immediately jumps on the ice like they've won the Stanley Cup. They knew
yeah.
how important that game was. Um, it's just fantastic. So now it is 1-1 going to Vegas. But I agree with you. We could easily see a 2-2, and it's going to be a marathon this series.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And both teams are banged up at this point. No teams fully fully fit. Mitch Marner taking an absolute rocket of a shot off either the knee or the rib or the off of some part of him right at the end of game one, and that was the crucial play in Vegas getting that 5-4 victory over the line. I mean, they set up a really nice one-timer chance, did Carolina, and it was, I personally think it was destined to go in. I don't think that Hart was going to get there, but Marner, left it all out there, found a way to get in front of it, and as soon as the final buzzer sounded, 2 or 3 seconds later, the whole bench emptied for Vegas, and they all went and kind of piled on Mitch Marner to show their appreciation for him. So, but hey, what do we know? He can't perform in the playoffs, Nathaniel.
He can't perform in the playoffs. He's the reason why successful teams fail naturally. Um, some
Yeah,
front shade at Toronto.
got him the number one pick though, didn't it?
It didn't. The commissioner got Toronto the first
Yeah,
overall pick.
Gary Bettman got them the first overall pick. Uh, yeah, no, I'm super excited to see where this goes, and yeah, anything more really on the cup final, Nathaniel?
I don't think so. We're 2 games in. It's early doors, so we'll see. Um, I'll say it's during the regular season. It's nice to hockey because there are some games that are played at sociable hours, but every single game is like at 1 a.m.
Yeah,
And when you're watching these games, okay, 1 a.m. that's not too bad. You can stay up for that, and then you realise the game's finished at like 4 a.m. Oh,
yeah.
sleep schedules. What are they?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's tough. It's tough for us to be able to catch any of this live. But we will certainly be there to cover everything. Every game is going to have our coverage. Um, we've got quite a bit of news to dissect, Nathaniel. A couple of sort of trade rumors first, but it has just occurred to me. I know, again, not to peek behind the curtain here, but we always have a pre-episode discussion about what we're going to talk about. And it's something that escaped my thought process. But Cale Makar potentially due to miss the start of next season, due to the injury that he's sustained in the conference final. I don't know. Kind of at the moment, it's all kind of a little bit up in the air. We're not too sure what's gonna be the case. But what we do know is that Cale Makar right now is extremely hurt, and I'm sure Colorado will do everything they can to bring him back. But right now he's pretty banged up.
I mean, there could be a worse time. Well, there was a few weeks ago when they're playing Vegas. But he's got a fair few months now. He might miss the start of the season. If he does, will Colorado fall off a cliff and will it jeopardize their season? I would argue probably not. Um, Obviously, he might not have the same preseason, but likewise, I wouldn't be rushing him back just so that he plays games against the Canucks and whichever team's going to be bad next year. Um, so it is a concern, obviously, but I don't think it's going to, unless it's like a career impacting injury, which I haven't seen or heard anything that it will be. It's going to be like that. There'll be many players
Yeah, yeah,
that will be
and
carrying significant injuries.
yeah, and there's been kind of like obviously there's been a lot of kind of talk around Colorado last week. Jared Bednar, they've confirmed that he's going to be staying. He's got 1 year currently left
Contusion.
on his deal. Um, there hasn't been any discussions around a contract extension as of yet, as I understand. Um, but there has been a bit of change in the front office as the Colorado Avalanche GM, whose name escapes me right now,
To the Preds.
McFarland. That's it.
Yeah.
Is it Chris McFarland? Has been hired by the Nashville Predators as the president of hockey operations. Um, not, again, not kind of absolutely game breaking news, but I do think it was, it's quite pertinent. I think that a Central Division rival has been able to sort of poach a general manager from the President's Trophy winning team. But it's a great opportunity for McFarland. Obviously, president of hockey operations is a step up, I suppose, from being a GM. And the problem is within his role within Colorado is that when you've got Joe Sakic there as their kind of respective president of hockey operations, he's going to assume the role of GM for the foreseeable future. I mean, Joe Sakic, one of the all-time greats of the game, Colorado Avalanche legend. There wasn't really much ceiling for McFarland to go higher. So, he's maybe had to kind of seek pastures new elsewhere. And fair play to Colorado for allowing him to, to go and take that opportunity. Obviously, we've seen from other teams around the league who are maybe less willing to let former employees or employees of any description go and speak or work with any other teams. Yeah, new president of hockey operations in Nashville. Hopefully, he can get his feet under the desk, nice and comfy before draft day, and he can kind of make the decision on what he wants this team to do. Because I think Nashville are better than what they showed last season. I think they maybe just need a couple of extra pieces maybe to push themselves. I think they can be kind of right where the Utah Mammoth are, sort of in that wild card spot, maybe even push for a third place spot within the division. So yeah, we'll see how McFarland does over there, but congrats to him on the new gig.
He's got a tough job because you're expecting Nashville to project upwards, but Colorado ain't going anywhere. Dallas ain't going anywhere. Dare I say, Minnesota won't go anywhere. You're expecting improvement from Chicago. You're expecting Winnipeg for a bounce back year. Um,
St. Louis are just St. Louis. They suck.
yeah,
Yeah,
they still got Bennington.
yeah, for now at least. Um, well, you mentioned Minnesota not going anywhere, and this is going to tie slightly into my next point, Nathaniel. There has been some ripples sent through the NHL last night. I was very quick to message yourself about it. Um, Dylan Larkin has, by all accounts, requested a trade from the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, your initial thoughts on it completely blindsided me. I don't think it was something that anyone was expecting, but yeah, Dylan Larkin looking for pastures elsewhere.
Well, they went through the merry-go-round a few years ago when he signed his last contract. Like, is he about to leave Detroit? And it's all questions about whether is he gonna, I guess, waste his career away in Detroit, not really succeeding, really. But he signed a new contract. Everyone thought, oh, he's potentially going to be a lifer here. Like, that is just his team.
Hmm.
And he still continued to perform well, and Detroit have potentially performed a bit better. But I think that collapse last year, that same mentality, I think has probably just broken something in him where he's just done. He just needs to a fresh start somewhere else. And I mean, if I was a Detroit fan, I'd be really, really down and sad about it. As a Minnesota fan, wanting a first line centre, um, working magic, Bill Guerin. Let's uh, let's squeeze out the last remaining salary cap and get this guy signed.
Yeah. Now, Dylan Larkin makes 8.7 million for the next 4 years. So And he currently has a no trade clause, although you would imagine that if he's actively requesting a trade, that he would be willing to waive that no trade clause. So let's say he's got his pick of where he wants to go. Now, it all kind of depends really on what Dylan Larkin wants here. Because by the sounds of it, Dylan Larkin is the reason that he's wanting to leave Detroit is because he wants to play in the playoffs. Obviously, he was part of that Team USA Olympic team, got a bit of a taste for those high stakes games, as well as the success that came with their gold medal win. Now, a lot of teams that will be able to take on that $8.7 million are not teams that are going to be pushing the play, or I don't know, they might sneak into a wild card spot, but maybe not serious cup contenders right now. So I think whatever, if there is going to be a contender that makes a push for him, and I use Minnesota as a jump off point here because he absolutely fits what they need. There's going to have to be some retention there from Detroit's end, which will unfortunately rank the price up a little. And it depends as well what Detroit are wanting back. Are they wanting picks? Are they wanting prospects? Are they wanting NHL ready guys right now? But obviously we've spoken about Jesper Wallstedt in the past for Minnesota, and Detroit don't really have a long-term goalie of the future right now. They've kind of just been carouseling a bunch of veterans right now. Is it John Gibson they've got in at the moment?
Yeah, and Cam
Gibson, I
Talbot in
think
it.
Cam Talbot, yeah. So by no means kind of, sorry, just needed to wet my whistle there. By no means do they have a kind of a certified elite goaltender, and Wallstedt could be that. I know they've got Sebastian Kosa down in Grand Rapids, who they took in the first round of the draft a few years back, but apparently his name's being talked about in kind of trade conversations as well. So it all kind of depends what a trade package for Dylan Larkin would look like. Personally, again, for me, I think he would be absolutely terrific on the Chicago Blackhawks. I think he would be absolutely wonderful.
Mm.
But I don't think Dylan Larkin would want to entertain a move to a team kind of coming out of the back end of a rebuild and looking to make a step towards the playoffs. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, kind of what Minnesota have more than me. I don't know what Minnesota have available in cap space at the moment, and I don't really know what they have in the way of assets
Yeah.
outside of
Well,
Jesper
I'm just
Wallstedt.
having a look. Yeah. And this is the thing, in the playoffs, the Minnesota sort of laid their hand out because they played Ballstead pretty much every game.
Hmm.
Gustafsson is probably not going to be happy with that. Gustafsson, who's just signed a new contract for 6.8 million per year.
Yep.
I mean, he's 27, still fairly young. He signed until 33, plenty of years left on a decent thing. Gustafsson, Danila Yorov, young promising centre, who we've been plugging as our 1C for most of the year, but then took him out in the playoffs. But he's got that potential there. Both of their salary
Calorie
cap
hit.
hit, calorie hits. They're bulking, Matt.
they, Jesus.
Right. Ooh. Um, equals Larkin's salary. There or thereabouts. So my pitch would be Gustafsson, Yorov, second round pick for Dylan Larkin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that is. I don't think that's kind of ludicrous at all. It may well be. I'm just thinking potentially. If I look at Detroit right now, potentially with the goaltenders that they have, you would maybe need to take one of those back. Maybe like a Cam Talbot or something. Although Cam Talbot is a UFA this year.
Mm.
They've got John Gibson on 6.4 million at the moment. So I don't know. It's difficult if you're Detroit trying to justify having $12 million in goaltending, which is why potentially someone like Wallstedt, I think, maybe is the more attractive piece to them. But yeah, I think that is probably kind of the conversation starter, isn't it? Someone like Yurov, either one of Gustafsson or Wallstedt, and then maybe maybe a second, or maybe maybe a first, kind of depending. I mean, they're going all in, aren't they? Because I think the thing is, you've got
Yeah.
4 years. You're trading for 4 years of Dylan Larkin at 8.7 million, and I think unfortunately you make that trade. I think what that stops you being able to do potentially is sign Quinn Hughes long term. Um, so do they think that is adding Dylan Larkin to the Minnesota Wild something that could push them over the top for a Stanley Cup championship? I would potentially argue, yes, it does. Um, I
About
think if
12
you,
mil, almost 13 million cap space as well.
yeah, I think that is
That
without.
is Quinn Hughes.
I think that is also though without. Is that not including the guys that are currently pending UFAs? So I think that includes the likes of, obviously Foligno, who needs, any of the guys who are currently out of, any guys who are currently out of contract. Um,
Don't have that
so
many.
if they can,
Mm.
Foligno, Johansson, Tarasenko, Zuccarello, McCarron, Fabry, all UFAs. Bobby Brink as an RFA. Zach Bogosian, Jeff Petrie, both UFAs. Damon Hunt as an RFA. Um, and then, yeah, you've got Gustafsson at 6.8, Wallstedt at 2.2, before he is then an RFA after that. So, however, they finally they are losing 1.66 million again on the Zach Parise and Ryan Suter contracts that are just absolutely slaughter. Well, it's nowhere near as bad as it was, but they are still going to be paying off those Parise and Suter contracts until the 2028-29 season, or the end of, which is just wild. It's Minnesota Wild. Sorry. Um, but
Hello.
I mean, let's move away. Let's move away from Minnesota for a second here. Is there,
Where else can he go?
yeah, are there any other teams really that spring to mind? I mean, I was having a chat about this with a friend of mine last night, and he said, what about Florida? Um,
Mm.
and obviously Florida have, like, what is it, the eighth overall pick this year? Um, you know, you wouldn't rule it out. Put it that way. Obviously they've got, but then is he going to want to go to a team to ride Barkov's coattails? Maybe if he thinks that that's where he's going to have more success. But if you were to look then at that Florida team of having, Barkov, Larkin, and Lundell as your 1, 2, 3, I mean that looks, kind of pretty exciting. But I don't know. I just think Minnesota
Tampa as
makes,
well, though.
yeah, yeah, again potentially. Um, but I think Minnesota have more assets than Florida and Tampa do in order to actually sort of
Mm.
make that trade. Um, I think this is something that happens at the draft. Um, really wouldn't be surprised. I think maybe if there is someone who Detroit really like in that sort of top 12 space, maybe they could try and make a deal with someone to make that happen. Um, but I suppose then it begs the question: where does that leave Detroit moving forward?
Do we Are we bothered?
We're not as such, but I mean, we've been hearing about the ISA plan for years, and the
Yeah.
ISA plan is yet to have come to fruition, and you potentially now lose one of your key pieces. You know, do they think that their window is still open and they want to try and add some ready now assets, or do they think sod this, will blow it up? Which then, if they reach the point where they're trading Dylan Larkin, then they've got some nice young players on that team. They've got Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, Axel Sandin Pellikar. Um, you've
Yeah.
still got the likes of Patrick Kane. You've still got Alex DeBrincat there. Um, Andrew
I think they're a lot
Kopp.
closer to a rebuild than they are plug and play and make a push for another playoffs. You, that division is so difficult. You've got Montreal who've turned it around. You've got other juggernaut teams there, Florida, Tampa. Like it's just not. Ottawa is always competitive. Toronto is going to be coming back as well. I mean, every one of these teams you can make a bigger case for a return to form. I think Detroit will probably get caught in the trap where they think they can compete, and then they're going to get stuck in that sixth position again and again and again and again. Um, Realistically, though, I see them trading Larkin and potentially going after Alex Tuck
Yeah,
from Buffalo.
that's
And
yeah, that's I mean, that's a really, I mean, that's a sad. I mean, it would be a.
they'll
I mean, it's
overpay.
obviously yeah. You wouldn't rule it out, would you? Um, Again, just sort of. I mean, looking through this Detroit lineup, it's not. It's not a. It's not a cup team. It's barely a playoff team. I mean, there's some nice
Mm.
guys in there. I think Andrew Kopp's a good player. I think JT Conf is a good player. Lucas Raymond's a great young player. You supplement that in with Emmett Finney, who had a really good kind of year as a rookie, probably better than what they expected. They've got Marco Casper, Michael Bransig Nygaard, Axel Sandin Pellikar,
Mm.
Jacob Bernard Docker, all of the double barreled names apparently. Um,
Detroit Red Wings.
yeah. um, yeah, I think they're a team in a bit of limbo, and I think this Larkin news has maybe kind of just thrown everyone for a bit of a spin. I just really don't know, you know, what happens from here, really.
I mean, all of their players, the only player they've got other than Larkin that is on any kind of multi-year, long-term contract is Lucas Raymond and Moritz
Mm,
Seider. Um, those are guys who, I mean, time will tell. Obviously, Moritz Seider is absolutely fantastic, and most teams will want to play him, but uh, they're not two guys. They're not a Makar McKinnon combo. You
no,
can't build your team around those two players. None of the other players seem to be superstars. So I think they're just going to be stuck in that purgatory. And the prospects a lot better than I do. But Detroit aren't a team where I see a lot of buzz about potential big future. So I just think they're going to be stocking fillers for a few years. I don't think they're awful, but they're just not going to be in it. And I don't
no,
think Larkin. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think the loss of Larkin will actually impact Detroit that much because they'll still be good enough to be off the bottom, but
yeah,
still not good enough to make the playoffs. So
yeah.
therefore, it might make sense to, I guess, blow it up and go again. Like, because yeah,
It's certainly going to be an interesting kind of viewpoint over the summer. I mean, like you said, that division is a difficult division. A difficult one to crack. Um, I think Larkin to Minnesota, I think also is supported by the fact that would Detroit want to trade him within their division to Florida or Tampa? I highly doubt it. Um, I don't know. Could find a spot at Anaheim maybe. I
I
I
was just
don't
thinking
know.
Anaheim as well. But
Um, Calgary no. Edmonton with what money. LA, no one really knows what they are. San Jose have a litany of offensive talent. Seattle, no. Vancouver, definitely not. But then, yeah, Colorado, Dallas, no. Nashville, probably not. St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis would have the ammunition to pull that trade off, but what does Larkin gain from going to St. Louis? Very little.
He does
Um,
seem like he's the lowest player though, Larkin.
he does, he does, and I know that Steve Eisman has dealt extensively with the St. Louis Blues in the past, but I don't know. Especially with all the talk that St. Louis are potentially going to look to trade Rob Thomas and maybe potentially look to trade Jordan Kyrou and everything like that. I,
Mm.
I just don't think they're a team going in the right direction. Um, you know, this is quite similar in a similar sort of vein of conversation in the fact that the New York Islanders, it's not that come directly from the player itself, but the New York Islanders potentially exploring the options of trading Matthew Barzal as well, who
Mm.
again would be another kind of first center or good first center, very good second line center that a team could acquire. Um, I know there's a lot of
Rangers as
concern.
well.
I was going to say there's a lot of concern with Barzal in relation to his injuries and his health, but he did play. I think he played 80 games last season. So but he's always sort of one play away from missing some significant time. But yeah, I really struggle to see many kind of really suitable homes for Larkin other than Minnesota, really, which is great for you. Um,
I'd
but
say Minnesota or I'd say a Metro team.
yeah,
I guess
yeah, um, hmm.
Caps or the Rangers, the both teams who Will Larkin as well. He probably wants playoff hockey, which for any team in the Metro might be achievable in the next couple of years, but also a bigger market. He's kind of he's almost in the top tier of best players that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that might change if he were to go to a Metro team. Like one of them, he'll get his name stock out there. He'll probably get a lot more money for marketing deals and stuff rather than in Detroit. I just think that might be. I mean, I don't know the man. Never spoken to him. I don't know what his motivations are and what his family life's like. But if never underestimate the draw to the Metro division.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you potentially even look at like those New York teams. It's not a million miles away from Detroit. It's certainly a lot closer than moving to California would be. Um, so yeah,
Where's
I
he
don't
from,
know.
Dylan Larkin? Where did he?
I'm
Where
not
did
entirely
Mr.
sure.
Larkin?
Outside of knowing that he's American.
He was. Oh, he's he's from Waterford, Michigan.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I was going to say someone that everyone always has to play for their hometown team. He's already done that, and seemingly hates it. So
He went
yeah,
to
well,
University of Michigan. He went to Grand Rapids in the AHL, Michigan. Um, and then he played in the United States, like junior national team juniors growing up.
got you,
So he's
got you.
been Michigan his whole life. Well, okay. What's your oyster, Dylan? Where do you want to go? Tell me it's St. Paul.
Yeah. The final kind of player on the trade front that's been kind of a topic of conversation has been Darnell Nurse. Now, I can understand why Edmonton would want to move Darnell Nurse. I think he is a guy who makes more money con than his skill set suggests. It's a really polite way of saying that I think he's fucking overpaid. Um,
He's paid like he's a doctor
he's yeah,
or a nurse.
I I bet doctors wish they were making 9.15 million a year or whatever he's on. Um, I just don't see, unless it's one of those kind of deals that Edmonton, if they want to move that deal, they're going to also have to give something else up with it in order to move it. If they want to move it in its entirety, um, I think there's 4 years left on that deal. I think from what I can recall. In fact, I had it up before.
He's on year five of eight,
Year five of
UFA
eight.
in 2030.
Yeah. So, 9.25 for a guy who is.
He's getting paid 1.5 mil more than Quinn Hughes in a minute.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Darnell Nurse is a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. I think Darnell Nurse is quite a good player. Is Darnell Nurse a $9.25 million player? Absolutely not. He probably falls somewhere into that. I would be comfortable having him for like 7. I think that
Yeah,
would be kind of about fair. Maybe 7.5 if you wanted to be generous. But his contract is constantly at the top of the kind of NHL worst contract discussions and tier lists every single year. But I don't know kind of what Edmonton's plans are. Obviously, with Stan Bowman, you just have no idea. Um, so if he finds himself a new team this summer, I don't think Edmonton are going to be, if they're expecting a massive haul back. I think they're going to be sadly disappointed because I don't think that's what I don't think that's what they're going to get. So yeah, I don't know. That's a bit more of a mystery to me in the fact that with Barzal and with Larkin, there's absolutely teams who you could see who would want him, and you have kind of a vague idea roughly of what sort of a trade package might look like. But with Nurse, I've just got no clue. Edmonton are obviously wanting to win now. They've got to. So, do you trade Darnell Nurse to try and spread that 9.25 million a bit further and add a bit more depth? That would probably have been my thought process. Um, yeah,
state of their roster. I'm just having a look through while you've been talking about that. I've just been looking at Edmonton's team composition.
oh, it's shocking.
They're screwed.
Yep, yep. You've got. Yeah,
If I
I don't.
inherited this team on not Madden, NHL 25, 26, I'll just quit and start again.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the kind of little things that add up, though, isn't it? It's like paying 3.85 to Trent Frederick, um, kind of seems like a lot. And yeah, okay, they've got some. You look at the likes of Matt Savoy and Isaac Howard and Josh Szymanski and people like that, kind of on nice sort of cheap deals. Um, but but then
They're going
that's
to want
but then
paying.
But yeah, they are going to want paying. Eventually, you're still paying Ryan Nugent Hopkins 5.1, which I don't think is too bad for him. I mean, he's 33, but 10.5 on Bouchard, 9.25 on Nurse, 7 on Wallman, 4 on Matthias Ekholm. I think 4's probably about right for Ekholm, but again, I think that's
He's
quite a lot of money for
36.
Jake. Quite a lot of
Three
money for
years.
Jake Wallman.
3 years
And
at 4
then
mil for 36
and then
million.
you've got 5.375 million locked up in Tristan Jarry, which is just not the one. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is coming from Edmonton, who need to create some space. They've got less than 3 mil in cap space, and half their team are UFAs. I
Yeah,
just they're going to be signing. They can't get out any of these deals. They need to get rid of Nurse in order to sign more sort of deeper roster players. But they're not going to be able to do that without retaining, and they're going to end up with a very top heavy, great first line potentially, but then just minimum. minimum wage veterans.
Yeah, yeah. It's a mess. It's a mess. And hopefully they'll think that Stan Bowman's the guy who's gonna manage that roster. Again, I can only speak from experience in how he managed Chicago's roster. He is very good at going, we'll run it back again. Let's run it back again. I know Chicago are not going to make the playoffs this year, but let's add Seth Jones and let's add Marc-Andre Fleury. Uh, yeah, I've been there and seen that, mate, and it's not looking
The old
good for
retooling.
yeah. It's I don't know. We'll see what they do. It's certainly going to create a lot of kind of interesting trade discussion, I think, over the summer. Obviously, we're a few weeks away from the draft now. Could be some big deals that happen before then, during, after. Obviously, we've still got the rest of the Cup final to look forward to. Congratulations to Finland, by the way, for winning the World Championships. That was great from them, and Alexander Barkov looked fantastic in their return there. So they've done fantastic. He looked like he hadn't even missed a beat.
Scary times for the Atlantic next year.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I don't think we've got much else to cover, mate. Really.
No, we're in the obviously the Stanley Cup Finals is the biggest series in the sport, but obviously after those games, there's not a lot really ticking on. We will deep dive further the off season for roster managements and trades and re-signings. We'll go through teams' rosters in a later episode, but that's a couple of pieces of news that we like to deep dive into, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Anything further, mate, before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. I think we're all good.
Lovely
Very
stuff.
high
You
pitch.
gonna drum? You gonna drum roll me? As always, guys, you can find us on both X and Instagram at the PBP Podcast. You can also get in touch with us on Gmail at penaltyboxperspective@gmail.com. You can find us on TikTok at Penalty Box Perspective, where there'll be clips from this show, clips from all of our previous other shows, and everything if you want to go and check that out as well. You can watch the podcast in video format at both Spotify and YouTube at the Penalty Box Perspectives official YouTube page. Please consider going and dropping us a like and a subscribe over there as well. They're free to do, and they help me and Nathaniel out massively. If you also want to give us a 5-star review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that'd be sincerely appreciated. Okay, it really helps us out. Just really helps us push the podcast more into more people's ears. There's some potentially some exciting news over the horizon. When we know more about that, we'll be sure to share that with you. And plenty of guests and things in mind to come over the summer to tie us all over the off season. But as always, guys, thanks for sticking with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.